Since Earth Day just passed, it really got me thinking about my next episode. It begged me to ask the question, what can I do to make things better? Well, if you're like me, you probably just live your life not thinking too much about this third rock from the sun. But it's literally the most important things in our lives. In fact, try to name one thing that's more important than Earth. When you really stop and think about it, it's pretty amazing that this thing is just rotating around a massive ball of fire. In this episode, I lay out a couple quick tips that we all maybe can learn from, and hopefully we can make a difference on the Earth. Enjoy.
You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, look. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gents, hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Berardo Podcast. I am your host, Tony Berardo, and this is a little bit different episode than what I'm used to, only because I've been doing a lot of research the last probably 4, 5, 6 months on this topic, especially now that I've been practicing veganism, and I use that word loosely because I do have leather shoes and I do eat honey, so technically I'm not a vegan, but just getting involved with the vegan culture, for about almost 2 years now that I've been vegan, it's been interesting because you kind of learn not just about eating habits, but you learn about the earth and what we're doing to the earth and how we've affected it in the past, X amount of years that we've been populating the planet. And our civilization has grown so much, and there's so many positives that have come from what we've been able to do, with technology and, vehicles and all that, skyscrapers and building and equipment. But really, we don't really think too much about what we're doing to the earth. And just all the research I've been able to do, and the few people that know more about the subject than I do, have really educated me. So I kind of want to lay some things out to you. And hopefully you can learn like I did, and begin to make changes to start to think about this a lot more. Sometimes we get caught up in the whole minutia of everyday life that we forget about. Without the earth, we're nothing. Literally, if something was to happen to this earth, we all would perish and not be here anymore. So Instagram and the Kardashians and all that doesn't matter because everybody's gone. So I think we have to kind of look at that and understand if we plan to pass our knowledge and, this beautiful earth to our children, our children's children, we really have to take action. There's a lot of studies that say within the next 10 years, 12 years, if we don't do something quick, and if the global warming continues to happen, which global warming is a thing, it's been happening before you and I were born. The ice age did exist, and now there is no ice age. So the earth has been warming even before we, had this conversation. The question is, though, how do we stop that? How do we slow it down? How do we do something to not necessarily reverse the damage that we've done, but we definitely can make some educated decisions to make sure things don't get worse. If polar ice caps do continue to melt and ocean levels keep rising, there's a lot of people on the coast, including myself, that, I'm down here in Florida, and Miami and the Keys, and, more storms definitely could continue to level our civilization. So we just have to kind of, be careful and kind of understand that. So I wanted to kind of lay out a couple things that I've been doing research on, and hopefully this will help you guys. And I do encourage you to dive deep into this topic. And again, it is extremely important. I just don't think we're told that it's that important. Again, because sometimes we forget that we're this rock that's rotating constantly it's in space. It's infinity. It's rotating around this massive ball of fire. Sometimes we forget about that. You wake up every morning, you think, I don't know if we got some flat earth believers out there, but the earth is rotating every single second. And, we're in space that's infinite. We can't even understand or begin to think what space is. Every single day they're discovering new things and new stars and new galaxies and solar systems, and we're nothing. We're just a speck. So I think sometimes we get caught up in that, and we don't understand that. We get caught up in the everyday life, and sometimes we forget that we are so insignificant, and we really need to appreciate what's going on, and we need to educate ourselves on that type of stuff. Especially now with technology, one point that I wanted to bring up, I was thinking about this the other day because, research has been going on for decades about global warming and what we've been able to do. And I don't think we spend a lot of time, because with technology now, we're stuck in this algorithm of things we like or things we hate. There's a lot of negativity out there. And if you click something negative on Facebook or Instagram or Google, naturally your phone and everything around you is going to be on that topic. If you search something on Airbnb today, within minutes it's going to be on your phone literally every second on Facebook and Google and pop-up ads, because the algorithm, that's just how it is, right? That's how these companies are making billions of dollars a year, is based off that. So for the last few years, we've been kind of saturated with things that we like or things that we hate. If you like politics, your feeds are going to be a lot of political stuff. Nothing wrong with that. If it's memes of cats falling over on couches, you're going to get a lot of that stuff. But what you're not going to get a lot of is stuff you don't know about. For instance, for me, all this stuff that I'm talking about today, I had to do my own research. So if you really think about that, that's kind of fucked up, how important this topic is, and we have to physically go out and look for that information. So I definitely do encourage you to do your own research and dive into this topic, because it is very, very important. And now that I've started a family, and I'm going on almost a year being married to the beautiful wife, we're starting a family. I want to really make sure that that their future is secure, and it's our job. We got to do it. So I just kind of wrote out a couple things that we could do on a daily basis to make a difference. Remember, you doing this means nothing. So these little tips and tricks to help save the environment, just you doing it will do absolutely nothing. You're not going to make one impact. We're destroying the planet on a secondly basis. So just you doing something means nothing. However, you could do it, and you could drag your spouse to do it. You could tell your family to do it. You can share this with friends and put this on your Facebook and your Instagram. And instead of sharing, what the Kardashians were up to today, you can share about this. So again, I really ask that you guys do it, because there was some wild stuff that I was researching. And whether it's true or not is irrelevant. If there's a 1% chance that it's true, that the earth is fucked one day in our lifetime, I say, fuck it, let's do it. Let's act. Let's start doing some shit today, right? So there's a couple things that you could do at home. Reduce, reuse, and recycle, right? The 3 R's, we always hear about it. We actually taught that in school. That I think is the only thing that we were taught to in school. And what that means is just reduce your waste. The less waste we put in landfills, the better it is for the environment. Us putting plastics, and even if you recycle, that's great, but again, it has to go somewhere, right? So we just got to reuse everything that we're doing. I'm a big fan of Tupperware, only because I don't necessarily like to buy stuff. I usually just make it at home, and then I put everything in Tupperware, and I pre-make stuff. So however you need to do that, there's also eco-friendly Tupperware that you could buy. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And you can continue to reuse stuff, that way we're not throwing stuff away, and you can reduce your waste. And that's a big thing that's going to help out the landfills. And then, of course, on that note, volunteer. That's a really big thing that I want to get back into. I used to do it all the time. I've been super busy, and that's no excuse. I got to get back into volunteering. I did a lot of stuff with the Boys and Girls Club, which was a lot of fun. Habitat for Humanities does a lot of stuff where you can help out underprivileged kids, and you can help build homes in your area, and that's all across the country and all across the world. So that's a really cool foundation that can help out. Also, too, when it comes to volunteering, you don't necessarily have to like volunteer at an organization. You could just do stuff, right? Just do stuff around your community. For example, I was just taking out the trash earlier today, and it looks like someone, I don't know, maybe they were taking out the trash and it got caught on something, and they dragged trash like on the sidewalk. So there was trash, like a line of trash. It was insane. And they didn't pick it up. So what I did is I took 30 seconds, then I picked up the trash and I put it in the trash can. So that prevents, if we do little things like that, that could prevent maybe it washing up to the beach or going to the shore or going to someone's yard and destroying their yard. I mean, the chemicals that are in the stuff that we eat, not obviously the food, but just the plastics and the materials and, everything that we've created. All that stuff is man-made. It's not meant to be out in the landfill or out in your driveway. So if you see trash, even if it's not yours, just pick it up and wash your hands afterwards. Who cares? Think about it, guys. We wipe our ass every day, and then you wash your hands. Okay? Don't be weird. Just pick up trash. It's not that big of a deal. All right. Next thing is educate yourself. We talked a little bit about that, but I just recommend you educate yourself. I didn't know really anything, and I still don't really know a whole lot, but I'm going to continue to educate myself because it's definitely a topic that I want to get more involved in, because I think not necessarily that just I can make an impact, but hopefully that by doing this, if it reaches 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, hopefully that'll make an impact as well, and I think that's very important to do so. So conserving water is another great way to help the environment. I'm guilty of this as well. Long showers, when you brush your teeth, I always keep the faucet on. Why do we do that? It makes no sense. It serves no purpose. But for some reason, we feel it's too hard to brush your teeth, turn off the water, and then keep brushing your teeth, and then turn on the water when you're ready. So just try to conserve as much water as you can. I mean, remember, there's some countries and cities all over the world that don't even have water. So just don't use water just because you have it. Conserve it, because one day, we may be running low on water. So you want to keep that in mind. You always got to be mindful of what's going on around you. And shop wisely. I could say that's one thing that the wife and I have been really good at. Ever since I've known her, actually, we've never used plastic bags when we go grocery shopping. We always bring totes. And I could give all the credit to the wife for that, because everywhere we go, like Marshall's or Victoria's Secret, she always spends that X amount of dollars to get the free tote. You girls probably know what I'm talking about. Spend $50 and you get a free tote. She always takes advantage of that, and I always bust her balls for it, but she is helping the environment because we don't use plastic. So kudos to the wife on that one. But that's definitely cool. In places like Sprouts, and I think Trader Joe's does it too. If you don't use their plastic, if you bring your own totes, they actually give you a discount on groceries. So not only are you shopping wisely and saving the environment, but you're also getting a discount on groceries. So that's pretty cool too. So look into places like that are around you. I think Sprouts and Trader Joe's are nationwide, so check that out. Lights, energy. That's a real big thing that we struggle with. We'll talk more about that in some other podcasts, but we just waste a lot of electricity and a lot of energy. So I don't know if you've ever been to a spot that doesn't have electricity, but it's pretty incredible when you look up in the sky. Like I was out in North Carolina for my bachelor party, and you look up in the sky and there's no electricity anywhere, and the lights are just beautiful. The stars, where you see the stars, it lights up the whole sky. It's gorgeous. Just conserve your electricity. You don't need to use it all the time. If you're not in a room, turn off the lights. Use eco-friendly bulbs. These are all things that we could do to just, again, make the steps to help conserve the energy that we're using. And, speaking about energy, in order to produce oxygen and to get us energized and to keep us living, we need trees. And bottom line is we're just cutting down a lot of trees. I think I was reading something the other day. I forget the size of it, but I want to say it's like in the Amazon they've already destroyed. Man, what was it? I think it was in kilometers, but it was a massive area of the Amazon where they destroyed all these trees. I wrote down here, I think they help out with a fourth of the carbon that's in the air. So they grab a fourth of that, and we really got to be mindful of what we're doing, because we continue to just want to have sex and overpopulate this earth, but at the same time we're cutting down our oxygen supply. So it's kind of crazy. So if you can, plant a tree. If you got the room for it in your backyard, plant a tree, especially an avocado tree. I don't know if that helps, but I just like avocados, so it just makes sense to do that. But trees are very important, and we got to be mindful of that. So the less paper you use, obviously the better, but conserving as much as you possibly can to just help out the environment, right? Another one I wrote down that's pretty good that I got to work on is don't use chemicals. So try to cut back the amount of chemicals you're using. Your bleaches, your Drainos. If you can make your own stuff, which, ask the wife about Pinterest. She's a nut with that stuff. So she made like this orange peel vinegar type of spray that's good for like 10 different things around the house. And that's stuff you can make at home, and it's healthy, right? That's stuff that you could spray in your mouth and you're good. So, and they have over-the-counter stuff that's completely eco-friendly, and you could buy that stuff that doesn't, harm the environment and put stuff down our waterways. Because that's the big thing, is when you're dumping these chemicals down the drains, at some point that water's got to go somewhere, right? So somehow it's getting filtered, supposedly, and then pushed out into the ocean, or it's getting pushed out to lakes or reservoirs. You just got to be careful, because we don't know where that's going. I could tell you right now, if I pour something in a sink, I have no clue where it goes. And then what happens after that? So let's just be careful what we put down the drain, and it could go in our waterways. And another thing is using our cars less. Cars and planes are literally the biggest contributor of greenhouse emissions. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I wrote this down, but cars, planes, and according to the Environmental Working Group, red meat is responsible for 10 to 40 times as many greenhouse emissions as common vegetables and grains. So if the grain feed in livestock were actually fed to people, we can feed 800 million people. So these factories that are producing meat, these amongst vehicles and planes and all this are really big contributors of just polluting the entire earth. And we have them everywhere, and we continue to eat and eat and eat. So they're producing more factories and making more factories. So again, we just have to be mindful and careful of this. And as you guys know, of course, I am vegetarian, and I've only been vegetarian for about 2 years, but I'm not saying not to not eat meat. I'm just saying eat less of it. That's all. Just eat a little bit less meat, so that way we're not going crazy, and all these companies are wanting to produce more factories, because that's the big thing. Is back in the day they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to build factories and slaughter animals left and right, and inject hormones into these animals to make them big and juicy and get them to reproduce faster. And that's the reason why they do it, is because we need food, because we like to eat and we like to stuff our fat faces. So that's why they're doing this stuff. So they're doing it to help us. But what they don't know is by doing this, they're hurting us. By producing more of these factories and making more of these factories, they're slowly killing the earth. And guys, look, I'm not saying to eat completely all vegan or all vegetables. Obviously, that's one way to help out. But, again, if everyone did that, it would probably mess up the earth too, right? Because we're consuming all the veggies. But the balance between animals and humans have to make sense. If we're eating too many animals and we're producing too many animals, we're fucking up the food chain, right? We're eating all the animals that are on Earth. And let's calm it down a little bit. We're messing up the predatory line. We're messing up their genes. We're messing up their hormones. we're playing God, and it's pointless just to eat. If you think about all the stuff I'm talking about, most of the stuff is because we're fat asses and we like to eat. So I think it's just something that we have to kind of take a look at, and what can you do in your household to help the environment? That's really the key, is little things at a time. What can you do? Share it with friends, share it with family. What can they do? And we got to do something quick. In fact, I even have a pleasure of learning more about this topic from the Volo Foundation. You could follow them on volofoundation.org. I'm actually going to be doing a couple podcasts with them here in the next few months, which is going to be exciting. They have a big event coming in October. So if there's any questions you want to know about climate change, or if there's anything that you could share with me, feel free. I'm all about it. I don't know a lot about this topic. I just know that we can make some serious changes, and they've been telling us this for a while, to recycle and all that. And I think if maybe we listened 20 years ago, those little green buckets that used to be outside, if we actually put more shit in them and we recycled more, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. But now we kind of have to take a step back, and we have to figure out what to do to make this thing better, because we are fucking up the earth. And I don't know about you guys, but the earth's pretty important to me. And, just educate yourself. So thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, if you liked what you heard, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe on the podcast app as well as YouTube, where I have all my podcast videos. Thanks, guys. Peace.